if I could, essentially, when I click on this, the one that I just got draws directly to the page. So we could do something along the lines of AppState active Gotchamon equals a random Gotchamon, right? The only thing is I need to draw that. So I could come back here and I could say this dot draw active Gotchamon as well. So essentially go get a random one and draw that to the page. So we got Justin randomly there, Hammond the Stomper, right? Jung. So now as we kind of do these, we can see those random ones happen. That's pretty cool, but it's actually a better way to do this. Instead of constantly adding these draws in like this, we can actually set up our AppState and our controller so that the controller is actually watching the AppState for modifications to be happening and to just perform actions automatically. So if we actually come up to our controller here, we can do something that is essentially a function that's built into our AppState. If you've ever wondered a lot of this other kind of like wrapping really is for, and what is the purpose of all this wrapping and these proxy objects and stuff like that, it enables us to do things like this, where we can say AppState on. AppState on essentially takes in an event string. That event string is essentially going to be the name of one of your properties on the AppState. In our case, we're interested in active Gotchamon. So we're listening to the string active Gotchamon, and then we essentially can perform an action when something happens, like log active changed. If I click on Oslo, we'll actually see I got that active changed. Exclamation. Ooh, active changed, right? Active changed, active changed, active changed. Along with all those other console logs in there, we get active changed. What's great though is if I run my random, that's also something that changes the active too, right? Both of these different actions result in a piece of my data in the AppState changing. So what I can actually do is say when that data changes, instead of actually saying active changed, what I want you to do is this draw active Gotchamon. We don't invoke it. We're just essentially providing the instructions. What should I do when active Gotchamon changes? I want you to draw active Gotchamon, okay? That means we don't need that. Oops, we don't need this. If I say random, we'll see active changed, and then it drew for us. That means we also don't need that, because I can click on this and it'll say active changed. And after that active changes, it draws for me automatically. So I can essentially remove my draws entirely. Now really all this is worried about is taking that action in, and then as the service changes the data, my controller is watching for the change and then performing an action after that change. This is called an observer. This is another design pattern. Why should I constantly be re-invoking this draw function to get these visuals to update when I really could just watch the data, since anytime the data changes in my application, I want to draw it. And instead of having to have all of my actions actually re-trigger the draw, I'll just say, let me watch that thing, or let me observe that and just draw it when it does change, which is pretty rad. So now I have all these different ways that I can draw these things. I might want to maybe like have like an animation in here. It is kind of hard to tell if you got the same thing twice. That probably wouldn't be too hard to do, but yeah, that is pretty dang neat. So let's do one more thing. As I'm doing these Gotchamon, I'm more or less trying to build up a collection of these cards. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create an empty array, and I'll call these my Gotchamon. This is an empty array. And essentially, after every random Gotchamon I get, I want it to be added to my array of Gotchamon. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably have a separate list of cards, like up here on the top is what's available. but then down below will be all of the cards that I actually have. And so we'll create an empty array down here. And so not only will it become deactive, something I'll do is I'll say AppState my Gotchamon push that random Gotchamon in there, okay? And then we can log my, and then AppState my Gotchamon, okay? We're gonna have a lot of logs here, so bear with me. I definitely should have some in here now. I fire this up one more time. We'll see mine. If I open up this target, I have 6. I got 2 Oslos, Herbert, Hammond, Xanther, and then Justin, right? So all that data is stored in a different location than that here. And really, we just want that information to draw now. Why don't we come back here and we'll do a draw my Gotchamons. Okay, my Gotchamons equals AppState my Gotchamon. Let my content equal empty string. We have many things that we're going to be drawing, right? So we're probably going to be following kind of this for each format instead of drawing the one thing, right? So we'll say my Gotchamons for each Gotchamon, my content plus equals Gotchamon. Oh no, a similar problem from before. You remember up here when we were building out active Gotchamon and we didn't have any code in IntelliSense? We're running into a similar issue. My AppState sees an empty array. When I start the application, I have none. I haven't collected any of them yet. I haven't gotten any random cards. So it makes sense for this array to be empty. And I'm going to add to it as, the application, is used or played. But that makes it very hard for me to develop things now because bigger application. I maybe forgot everything. I don't always want to have to go back and look at that stuff. So I can do the exact same thing I did before. I can do an @type and Gotchamon on here. But you'll see it immediately get angry because it's now going to tell you that the undefined array is missing the following properties from the type Gotchamon: name, picture, type, rarity, and 3 more. An array is not a Gotchamon. So it's immediately angry, and you might be saying like, well, null isn't a Gotchamon either. The nuance here is a little hard to kind of tell, but an array is a container for things, where a Gotchamon is something or isn't something, right? So it's fine with this, but it's not okay with this because I'm never going to replace my Gotchamon with just 1, where I would replace active Gotchamon with just 1 Gotchamon. So the data type of this is actually not just Gotchamon. It is Gotchamon array. So this type basically says I'm a Gotchamon array. Now it knows that this is going to be an array that has Gotchamon inside of it, which lets me do things like that. And then we need to go to our index.html. I will probably put this under our button section. I'm going to try and copy the same classes. Class deflex, flex wrap. I probably won't do justified content center just so that we can see it like a little bit different. Maybe I'll also do like BG dark or something like that with some padding. I don't know if I really want the padding right there, but yeah. And then we'll do, it looks a little ugly, I guess, but rounded to ID my cards. Okay, come back to our controller, draw my Gotchamon, my elm, delete my cards, elm equal document, get element by ID, my cards elm, inner HTML equals my content. And essentially we just need to draw this now anytime I collect a random Gotchamon. I would say let's stray away from this raw my Gotchamons. This will work. You can see them get added into that list down there. We can do the same thing. AppState on my Gotchamons, this dot draw my Gotchamons. We can set up that listener. Oh, unable to register listener for my gotchamons. It's probably a little error that's telling me I spelled something wrong. Oh, my gotchamon. Okay, this should be an S. Sometimes naming things is really hard, but you should try and do your best to keep things the same throughout if you can. I kind of made a commitment to multiples having an S at the end of it, and then just mon being one. So I really should try and do that. And yeah, we'll see that just draw automatically now that there is. What is nice, because I'm reusing that one card, I can always come back in here and I can always click on these again to essentially inspect anything from my own collection. I can see how many of these things we actually have here, which is pretty nice. I can, go on a collecting spree. I'm gonna go to my AppState. I'm gonna add a few more gotchamons in here, and you can just watch as this whole thing fast forwards. So it'd be kind of fun if we added in another get here that could really style them up. We call this a get rarity style. And I think we can almost we could do something pretty similar here. But honestly, I would think that these basically don't have anything on them. Probably don't even need a getter for this, honestly. We'll do this. So we'll call this holographic, and then negative holographic. Okay, something like that. Oh, maybe we'll do rare is glow. This will be negative glow holographic. It'll be all of the above here. Okay, we'll do this type. Kind of have this fun here. This dot rarity style. We'll come down here and we'll do glow image. You apply glow image, then your filter drop shadow 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 10 pixels white. Ooh, look at that, glowing like that. That looks pretty good. I think you could also do brightness 1.1, maybe like 1.5, 1.4. Kind of glowing like that. That looks pretty good. Let's do holographic. If the image is holographic, then the background color, let's do a linear gradient.io. Linear gradient CSS gradient.io. Purple, yellow, yellow goes to green, green goes to light blue goes to dark blue, light blue goes to purple, purple goes to pink red kind of goes to whatever. So we're going to copy this background color. Whoop. Okay, and we're going to apply that here. Background radial gradient. So I think if they're holographic, they'll look like that. I think we can also add the URL on top of that. Should be able to say like that, I think. Hammond. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. So we got that. Then we need the negative image, and this is going to actually make the filter invert 1. Oslo. Your ultra rare negative Oslo here. The celestial. We got our rares, our glowing rares here. Why is Rhonda glowing? Oh, yeah, there we go. Regular boring old cards. Start going, get up to Herbert, Rhonda, Hammond. Negative Oslo, get that crazy holographic look there. See if we can get some rare people here. Oh no, give me the negative Oslo. Holy cow, that guy is rare. Oh, there it is. Negative Oslo. Nice. We got a negative Oslo. I like it. Yeah, I mean, let's add maybe one more thing here. As we kind of pull these cards out, it might be nice if somewhere on this card, like it says Celestial over here, I think we could very much do another, maybe like, we might change it to another span. Oh yeah, this is a string. And this would maybe say like X1, right? If you had a negative Oslo, it would tell you how many you owned currently. So that's a good indication. That's another great getter. Card count. Okay. And this one's gonna be a little bit trickier. So we would almost need to actually go to the AppState. So we need const my cards equals AppState my Gachamon. So this is the cards I own. Might as well just call it my Gachamons. Okay, so we'll go to the AppState. We'll go get your Gachamons. Const same. Ooh, let's do it this way. Let count equal 0. My Gachamons for each Gachamon. If Gachamon name is equal to this name, count plus plus, and then return count. So this is a bit more complicated than just, if this be that, right? This actually goes to the AppState, loops over all the Gachamon, and actually finds how many of that one you own. We could just toss in this card count. I have 0 Herberts. I probably want to put the X there, right? 0 Herberts. Can I class deflex justify content between that? Ooh, yeah, that moved it to the other side. I like that a lot, actually. We'll open that one up like that. We'll leave that span like that. We'll put that div right there. These spans, kind of indent them in. Class dx2 rounded pill eg dark text light. I've got 0 Herberts, 0 Hammond, 0 Nega Oslos. I catch a Xanther. Ooh, it still says that I have 0. So this is probably just a little small thing, because if I click on him again, we'll see that go up to 1. If I click on Gotcha again, it says I have no Oslos. If I Gotcha again, right, I essentially have to draw him one more time for that draw to happen. Probably because when the big card draws, I don't actually have one, because we'll see that the big card draws right here, but I don't give it to myself until here, right, because we've set up those listeners. That being said, if I change the order so that I give it to myself and then I draw, we should see the negative Oslo one time. Oh, dang it, wait a minute. We don't get the crazy negative guy right there. We could probably do something like that. Oh, but then I'll lose my negative Oslo. No. No. Rarity style. Oh, that looks terrible. All right, let's keep the rarity style off here. That looks awful. Mama. So now we'll see that one pop up. So that one is just a. That's just side effects sometimes of these listeners. It doesn't really matter which order these are registered in, but it can sometimes certainly matter which order you actually change the data in, because essentially that is the order it'll then draw in as you change it. So I added one to my array, it drew my array, then it added it to the center of the page, and it drew the center of the page. So if it draws the center of the page first, I still don't have the card in my own collection, and that's what was causing that 1 to pop up, or the 0 to pop up instead of the 1 here. But yeah, no, this looks pretty good. I get me some random gotchamons in here. Jessica, Hammond, boom. Got a tiny bit of time. Let me see if I can actually get something a bit more random than just this random index. This would be a little tricky here to kind of create, but ultimately we kind of want to weight it so that these rare cards are pretty rare. So what could we do? We could say chance equals math.random times 100. So we're essentially trying to roll a number between 1 and 100. Let chance equal that. Okay. And then gotchamons for each gotcha. Chance minus, we need to make sure that this always happens. That would evenly split it. So what we could then do is say, what the heck? If gotcha dot rarity equal to common chance minus equals 10, if gotcha rarity equals uncommon chance minus. This would do something, but essentially you say the first 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, right? So you have 30% to get a common, and then you'd really have to map this out in a good way, because then you'd have to say 15, 15, 15, so 35, so you're up to like 65. You'd really have to know the exact numbers of everything to get that to work just fine. Cool. So yeah, now we've got a beautiful card game to collect different cards, which is really nice. And we're able to kind of take data and do small modifications to kind of how that data is visually represented on the page, as well as alternate views or alternate looks for that same piece of information, right? Kind of between the little card and the big card, all based off of essentially the same piece of information, which is super cool. Really allows you to start building out stuff that is a lot more flexible, a lot more kind of extendable, which is kind of the whole point of building into these patterns and building into this larger architecture as a whole.